Welcome to my channel. I'm so happy you are here today. Let me ask you something. Can one poor boy with no shoes, no internet, and no help change his whole life with just one big dream? Can a dream really take you from a village to a stage, from failure to success, from silence to speech? Today, you'll hear a true-to-heart story made to help you learn English through emotion, connection, and real language. Follow the boy's journey, and maybe feel your own English growing too. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Boy, the Village, and the Dream. In a quiet corner of the world, surrounded by tall trees and green fields, there was a small village where people lived simple lives. In that village lived a boy named Amir. He was just 12 years old. His house was made of wood and mud, with a roof of dried grass. When it rained, water came through the cracks. Inside the house, there were no fans, no lights, and no furniture. Amir slept on a thin bamboo mat next to his little sister. Their world was small, but their hearts were full of love. Amir's father worked as a farmer. Every morning, he walked to the fields before the sun rose. His mother sold fruits and boiled rice in the local market. The family didn't have much. They couldn't afford a new shirt, new shoes, or even a backpack. Amir carried his school books in a torn plastic bag and wore sandals that were too small for his feet. But he never complained. He always smiled, and he always walked to school with his head held high. The school was far, almost 4 kilometers away. The road was dusty in the summer and muddy in the rain. Sometimes Amir's feet were covered in mud before he even reached the school gate. But still, he went every day, because Amir had a dream. He dreamed of speaking English, not just reading words, but truly speaking, with confidence, with understanding, with power. He didn't know where this dream came from. Maybe it was from an old radio that played English news. Maybe it was from hearing stories of people who changed their lives by learning. Or maybe it came from deep inside him, from a quiet place that believed he could be more. At school, Amir was quiet. He sat in the second row, listened carefully, and always raised his hand when the teacher asked a question. His English teacher noticed his interest. But they didn't have much. No internet, no computer, no library. Just one old English textbook with missing pages. Still, Amir used what he had. He wrote down new words in a notebook. He tried to speak them out loud. He made flashcards from pieces of cardboard. At home, when the sun went down, the house became dark. They didn't have electricity every night, but Amir didn't stop learning. He lit a candle and sat on the floor. His little sister would fall asleep next to him while he repeated words like, "My name is Amir. I am 12 years old. I go to school every day." He didn't know if his pronunciation was right, but he spoke with all his heart. Sometimes he stood in front of a broken mirror. He looked at his reflection and practiced speaking. "I am learning English. I am not giving up." His voice was soft but steady. He didn't care if anyone laughed. In that moment, Amir wasn't a poor boy. He was a speaker, a learner, a dreamer. Every night before bed, Amir would go outside, sit on a big stone, and look up at the stars. The sky was wide and open, full of light. He would whisper to the stars, "One day I will speak to the world. One day I will help other children. One day I will make my family proud." He had no map, no guide, and no clear plan. But he had a reason, and sometimes a reason is all you need. His parents noticed his effort. His father said, "You work harder than your age." His mother gave him a small pencil sharpener one day and said, "This is all I can give you, but I know you'll use it well." Amir held it like a treasure. Every small thing mattered to him. Other kids in the village spent time playing games or watching videos at tea stalls. Amir wanted to join them, but he often said no, not because he didn't want to play, but because he wanted to grow. "One day," he told himself, "I'll have time to play, but today I must learn." This chapter of Amir's life was not full of big events or loud celebrations. It was full of small actions, quiet moments, and deep determination. He was not famous, he was not rich, but he had something many people forget to hold on to: hope. And in that broken mirror, with a candle burning beside him, Amir whispered the words again. Words that were not perfect, but real. I am learning. I am not giving up. Chapter 2. The First Time. He fails. The year passed slowly, but Amir filled every day with effort. He woke up early, helped his mother carry water, then walked to school with his plastic bag full of books. After class, he returned to help his father in the field. He didn't have much time to rest. When the sun went down, he lit a small fire outside the house or used a tiny oil lamp to study. His fingers were often black from holding burnt matchsticks. His eyes were tired, but he didn't stop, because this year something important was coming: an English exam. Not just any exam. This one was special. The top 5 students would win a scholarship to a better school in the nearby town. That school had real classrooms, real teachers, and even a small computer lab. Amir had never touched a computer before. He had only seen one once, through a shop window in the town. But he dreamed of sitting in front of one. He dreamed of learning faster, speaking better, and one day, teaching others. Amir knew this exam was his chance, his way forward, his key to the world. So he studied harder than ever. He wrote grammar rules on the wall using chalk. He whispered English words while working in the fields. He made short sentences and repeated them while walking to school. I am a student. This is my dream. I will not stop. Even when others played outside, Amir stayed inside with his notebook. His parents saw his hard work. His father gave him a strong pat on the back one day and said, "I don't understand this English, but I understand your spirit." His mother smiled and saved a few coins to buy him a new pencil. His little sister would sit beside him at night, drawing while he read aloud. "You will win," she said one evening. "Then you can teach me English too." The day of the exam arrived. Amir wore his cleanest shirt, still faded, but neat. His hair was combed with water. He took a deep breath and walked to the school. The classroom was filled with students. Some were nervous, Some were whispering answers. Amir sat down, closed his eyes for a moment, and reminded himself, I studied hard. I can do this. The exam paper was in his hands. He read each question carefully. Some he knew, some he didn't. He did his best. He filled every page. He wrote slowly, carefully, with hope in every word. When he finished, he looked up at the sky and smiled. I gave everything, he whispered. Now I wait. The next week felt like forever. Amir kept studying even after the exam. Just in case, he told himself. But deep inside, he waited for one thing, the results. Finally, one afternoon, the teacher called out, Results are here, check the board. Students rushed forward. Some cheered, some looked confused. Amir ran too, his heart beating fast. He searched for his name, line by line, top to bottom, but it wasn't there. He looked again, slower this time. Still nothing. He stood frozen, his hands cold, his eyes wide. He had failed. He did not make it. The scholarship was gone. His dream school was out of reach. His classmates passed by, talking, laughing. One boy said, You studied so hard. What happened? Amir didn't answer. He walked home slowly, like his feet had no strength. He didn't look up. He didn't speak. He reached home, placed his bag in the corner, and sat on the floor. His mother saw his face. She didn't ask anything. She just placed a hand on his shoulder. That night, Amir didn't light the lamp. He didn't open his books. He didn't even eat dinner. He just lay there, staring at the wall. Maybe I'm not smart, he thought. Maybe I'm not meant to win. But in the darkness, he felt a small hand touch his fingers. His little sister. She placed her notebook next to his. Will you still help me with this? She asked gently. Amir looked at her. Her eyes were big and full of trust. She didn't care that he had failed. She still believed in him. And in that moment something changed. He realized this dream, this journey, it wasn't just about him. It was about her, about his parents, about the children in his village who had no voice. He couldn't stop now. He wouldn't. He sat up. He took a deep breath. And he whispered something soft but powerful. I failed, but I will try again. Chapter 3. Study, sweat, repeat. Amir had tasted failure, but he did not let it break him. Instead, it did something powerful. It woke up a fire inside him, a quiet, steady fire. He stopped asking, Why did I fail? And started asking, How can I become stronger? From that moment, Amir made a silent promise to himself. He would now work harder than anyone else he knew. He would study more, help more, try more, and this time he would not fail. Each day began before sunrise. While the sky was still dark and the village still asleep, Amir was already awake. He walked with his father to the fields, his eyes still heavy, but his heart focused. He carried buckets of water, helped plant seeds, pulled weeds with his bare hands. The soil stuck to his fingers, and the sweat ran down his back, but he didn't complain. These hours in the field were hard, but Amir saw them as training, not just for the body, but for the spirit. He told himself, If I can do this, I can do anything. After the farm work, he ran home, washed his face quickly, changed into his school clothes, and began the long walk to school. His feet hurt. The road was dusty. In the rainy season, the mud reached his ankles, but he never missed a day. While walking, he whispered English words to himself. This is a pen. That is a tree. I go to school every day. His pronunciation wasn't perfect, but he didn't care. He was practicing, growing. At school, Amir took a seat in the front row. He listened with full attention. He wrote notes in a small notebook, the same one he had used last year. The pages were worn, but he filled every space. When the teacher explained something quickly, Amir didn't panic. He just asked politely, "Can you explain it again, please?" Some students rolled their eyes. Some whispered, "Too serious." But Amir ignored them. He knew why he was there. After school, when most children ran off to play, Amir returned to the fields or helped his mother cook and clean. Then, in the evening, when the work was done and the sun had set, he created a space for learning. Outside his home, in the corner of the yard, he placed a few bricks in a square. He found a flat piece of wood and made it into a table. He sat on an old sack as a cushion. He hung a tiny oil lamp on a stick and smiled. "This," he said softly, "is my future room." It was not a real room. It had no walls, no door, no fan. But to Amir it was a palace, a place of magic, a place where dreams would grow. He took out his old English book, the one with missing pages, and began reading aloud. He copied every sentence into his notebook. He repeated every word 3 times. Apple, apple, apple. I am hungry, I am hungry, I am hungry. He learned by repeating, by whispering, by believing. He taught himself with no internet, no guide, and no electricity. Just a book, a lamp, and his will. Sometimes younger students from the village walked by and stopped. "What are you doing, Amir?" they asked. "I'm studying English," he replied. "Why?" One boy laughed. "We live in a village. You won't go to America." Amir smiled. "I don't need to go far. I just need to go forward." Some laughed. Some stayed. Over time, Amir began helping them too. He explained small lessons, shared words, and even read stories out loud. Soon, 3 or 4 students would sit with him in the evenings. They listened. They learned. They were inspired, not just by what Amir taught, but by how he lived. But not everyone supported him. Some older boys mocked him. "Look at the teacher," they joked, "building a school with bricks and dreams." But Amir didn't answer. He just looked at the little oil lamp on the stick, the book in his hand, the curious children beside him, and he smiled. He was no longer just a student. He was becoming something else, something stronger. Each night before sleeping, Amir would whisper the same words he once said in front of the mirror, but now they were louder, fuller, deeper. "I am learning. I am not giving up." And as the lamp flickered beside him, the quiet night carried those words to the stars. Chapter 4: Laughter, Doubt, and the New Teacher. Amir was changing. Inside, he was stronger. Outside, he was still the same boy with worn clothes, dusty feet, and a plastic bag of books. But now, he walked with quiet pride. He had failed once and risen again. He was learning every day. His future room of bricks and wood had become his favorite place in the world. There, he studied, taught, and dreamed. But as Amir grew, so did the voices around him. "You study too much," one boy said with a smirk. "English won't help you farm." "Go work in the field, Amir. You're not going anywhere," another laughed. "Who do you think you are? A rich man?" someone shouted as they passed his little study corner. At first, the words hurt. They stung like small stones. Amir didn't want trouble. He didn't want to act better than anyone. He just wanted to grow. But he had learned something powerful. Words can only hurt you if you let them. So he stayed silent and kept reading. He reminded himself, their laughter is not my ending. It's just background noise on my path. But even the strongest heart feels tired sometimes. Some evenings, when the oil lamp was low and the wind was loud, Amir wondered, am I dreaming too big? Will this ever change anything? Then, one Monday morning, everything changed. A new teacher entered the classroom. She wore a plain white dress and carried a small bag filled with books. Her voice was calm but clear. "My name is Miss Sophia," she said. "I'll be your new English teacher." Amir sat up straighter. Something in her voice felt different. She didn't shout. She didn't rush. She smiled at the students. She listened. That first week, Amir asked many questions. He always raised his hand. He tried to answer, even when he wasn't sure. Miss Sophia noticed. One afternoon after class, she called him gently. "Amir, do you have a minute?" He stood quietly beside her desk. "I've seen how hard you work. Your notebook is full. Your questions are smart. Do you have anyone helping you at home?" Amir shook his head. "No, ma'am. I teach myself. I try." She looked at him for a moment, then opened her bag. She took out a small, second-hand English storybook. The cover was faded, the corners bent, but the title was bright, The Boy and the Mountain. She placed it in Amir's hands. "I want you to have this," she said. "It's simple English, but the story is strong, and I believe, you can read it." Amir stared at the book like it was treasure. His eyes filled with tears. No one had ever given him a book before. Not like this. Not with faith. "Thank you, miss," he whispered, his voice shaking. "Will you read it?" she asked. He nodded. "I will read it again and again." That night, Amir skipped dinner. He ran to his future room, lit the lamp, and opened the book. He touched each word. He sounded out each sentence. Slowly, carefully, with love. The story was about a boy who wanted to climb a mountain, but everyone laughed at him. Amir smiled. "I know this boy," he thought. "This boy is me." The next day, Amir told Miss Sophia, "I finished chapter 1. She smiled. "Good. Read it again. Then tell me what it means." Each day after school, Miss Sophia stayed with Amir. She helped him with pronunciation. She explained grammar gently. She asked him to write small summaries of each chapter. She gave him encouragement, but also correction. Don't say he go to school. Say he goes. You can do it. She didn't just teach with her mouth. She taught with her heart. She told him stories about her childhood, how she came from a village, how her parents worked as farmers, how she used to study under a tree just like he did. You don't need a perfect school to become someone great, she said. You just need belief and someone who believes in you. Amir's heart was full. For the first time, someone outside his family believed in his dream. It felt like a new voice had joined him, beside the whisper that said, "Don't give up." There was now a new whisper. You are not alone. And so, when the boys laughed again, Amir didn't feel pain. He felt fire. When someone joked, "Still playing teacher," Amir just smiled. He had a real teacher now, a mentor, a guide. He still studied under the same old lamp. He still used his broken sandals. But now, every time he opened that storybook, he remembered Miss Sophia's words. You can read this. I know you can. And he whispered back, I will. I will keep going. I will not stop. Chapter 5. The Speech That Changed Everything. Amir was sitting under a tree, reading The Boy in the Mountain for the third time, when Miss Sophia walked over with a paper in her hand. She looked excited. Amir, she said, our school has been invited to the regional English speech competition. It's in 2 weeks. Students from different villages will be there, and I want you to enter. Amir looked up, confused. Me? A speech? In front of people? She smiled. Yes, you've worked so hard. This is your chance to speak your heart. You don't need perfect grammar. You need your real story. Amir's hands shook as he took the paper. His heart was loud in his ears. He had never spoken on a stage. He had never spoken English in front of strangers. But something inside him said, this is it. This is your next step. That night, he couldn't sleep. His thoughts were fast and full of fear. What if I forget my words? What if I make mistakes? What if they laugh at me? The next day, he told Miss Sophia, I want to try, but I'm scared. She didn't laugh. She just nodded and said softly, Good. That means it's big. And big things always start with fear. But we'll practice together, every day. They began that afternoon. Miss Sophia helped Amir choose a topic. He thought of many ideas, his school, his village, his favorite book. But in the end, he chose something simple and strong. Dreams. My dream is to become a teacher, he said, and help children like me. Miss Sophia clapped. Perfect. Now write the first sentence. Every day after class, they practiced. Amir stood in the empty classroom with his notes in his hand, his voice shaking. Miss Sophia corrected him kindly. Say, I want to help, not I wanting. She taught him how to pause, how to look up, how to smile when nervous. Amir practiced at home too, in front of the mirror, in his future room, and even while walking. He whispered the words to himself like a song. He made mistakes. He forgot parts. But every time, he tried again. His sister listened with wide eyes. "You sound like a real speaker," she said. Amir laughed nervously. "I'm trying." The day of the contest arrived. Amir wore his cleanest shirt and the best pair of sandals he had. His parents walked with him to the road and waved goodbye as the school truck drove away. In the town, the school hall was huge. It had big windows, long rows of chairs, and a shiny floor. Amir had never seen anything like it. The students were dressed well. Some had written speeches on colorful cards. Some were reading from phones. Amir had only his notebook and his heart. The contest began. One by one, students stepped onto the stage. Some were loud, some were funny, some spoke with perfect English. Amir listened carefully, but his hands were cold. He held his notebook tightly. Then his name was called. He walked up slowly. The microphone looked too big, the lights too bright, the room too quiet. He looked out at the audience. His legs shook, his lips trembled. He took a deep breath. And then he began. "My name is Amir. I come from a small village where we don't have computers or books, but we have dreams." His voice was not perfect. Some words came out wrong. He paused too long, but he kept going. He spoke of studying under a lamp, of failing and rising, of his future room, of Miss Sophia's gift, of believing even when others laughed. "I want to be a teacher," he said near the end, "because one day I want to help a boy like me stand on this same stage." He stopped. The room was silent. Then someone clapped, then another, and then the whole hall was clapping. Amir stood still, his eyes filled with tears. He looked down so no one would see, but the warmth in his chest was too big to hide. He whispered to himself, "This is not the end. This is my real beginning." After all the speeches, the judges announced the winners. Amir did not win first place, or second, or third, but then came a special award. "For the most inspiring speech," the judge said, "this goes to a boy who reminded us why we speak, not to impress, but to connect." Amir. The crowd clapped again. Miss Sophia had tears in her eyes as she hugged him. "You did it," she whispered. "You touched their hearts." That night, Amir didn't sleep. He didn't want to. He sat with the small certificate in his hand and looked up at the stars. He remembered the mirror, the mud, the laughter, the book, the firelight, and the fear. And then he smiled, because now he had a voice, and he was just getting started. Chapter 6. A Letter, a Chance, a New Life. The days after the speech contest were quiet, but full of feeling. Amir returned to his village not with a trophy, but with something greater, a small certificate and a big heart. He had stood on a stage and told his story. He had spoken English in front of strangers, and they clapped, not because he was perfect, but because he was real. That memory stayed with him like a soft light in his chest. Life returned to its rhythm. Morning farm work, long walks to school, late-night studying. Amir continued helping other students, reading his storybook, and learning from Miss Sophia. But inside, he was waiting for one more thing: the national exam results. He had taken the exam weeks before the speech contest. It was his second and final chance to qualify for a full scholarship to a city school. That school had everything: real teachers, science labs, a library, even computers. If he passed, it could change his life. If he didn't, he would stay. Each day, Amir walked by the school notice board, pretending not to care. But his eyes always checked for the list. His hands always shook a little. Then one morning, Miss Sophia stood at the school gate with a letter in her hand. "Amir," she called gently. "Come here." He walked over slowly. "This came for you," she said, smiling. He took the letter with trembling hands. The school stamp was on the envelope. He opened it carefully. His eyes moved across the page, line by line, word by word. And then he stopped. He had passed. Not just passed, he was in the top 5% of the region. He had earned a full scholarship. Tuition, books, food, housing, everything covered. His legs gave way and he sat on the ground, the letter still in his hand. He looked up at Miss Sophia. "I did it," he whispered. Tears ran down her cheeks. "Yes," she said, "you did." When he got home, his mother cried openly, holding the letter to her chest. His father, usually quiet, nodded proudly and said, "This is your time, son." His little sister jumped and clapped. "You're going to the city." The news spread fast. People who once mocked him now smiled and offered their blessings. "We're proud of you, Amir," they said. "Go make something great." And so, a few weeks later, Amir packed his few things: a small notebook, a second-hand shirt, and his precious storybook. His parents walked him to the village road. Before he left, his father said, "You're not running away. You're rising." Amir nodded. The city was loud, fast, and full of color. Everything felt new. The buildings were tall. The buses were full. The school was huge. Amir shared a room with 3 other boys. The food was strange at first. The noise never stopped. Sometimes he missed the silence of the village. But he remembered why he was there. He studied hard. He joined the English club. He read new books from the library. He used a computer for the first time, his hands shaking on the keyboard. He sent his first email. He watched videos to learn pronunciation. He practiced speaking with classmates from other towns. He made mistakes, but he never stopped. Each night he wrote in his notebook. He ended every entry with the same sentence: "My name is Amir. I am learning. I will not give up." Months passed, then a year. Amir came home during the holidays, and something beautiful happened. When he arrived in the village, children ran to greet him. They had heard the stories. "Amir Bhai is coming home, the one who spoke English on stage, the one who studies in the city." One small girl, no older than 6, walked up to him shyly. She held a flower in her tiny hand. "I want to speak like you," she said. Amir bent down and smiled. He took the flower, gently touched her head, and said, you can, and I will help you. The next morning, Amir walked back to his old school. The building was the same, the dusty desks, the cracked walls, but something had changed. Amir was no longer a student. He was a guest, a guide. Miss Sophia welcomed him warmly and said, "Will you speak to the class?" Amir walked to the front of the same room where he had once sat in silence, the same board where he had once written broken sentences. Now he stood tall. He looked at the students, most of them younger, many of them barefoot, many of them full of wonder. He smiled, held a piece of chalk, and said clearly, "My name is Amir. I am a teacher now, and I believe in you." The classroom was quiet. Then the students began to smile. Some clapped, some nodded, and one boy whispered, "I want to be like him." In that moment, Amir knew something for sure. Dreams are not only for dreaming, they are for sharing. And now, it was his turn to help others rise. If this story touched your heart or helped your English even a little, then please do 4 small things. Like this video. Comment below, tell me, what is your big dream? Subscribe to my channel for more soft, slow, real English stories. Share this video with someone who needs hope and simple words to grow. And remember, you are not too poor to dream. You are not too late to start. And your English voice, it matters. So speak it, whisper it, grow it. Because one sentence can change everything.